Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my partner Anthony. This is a judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So Anthony, for us in America, how's your Thanksgiving?
Happy Thanksgiving. I didn't do anything for Thanksgiving Day. Funny story. Well, I guess it's not really funny. I did not. This is the first year that I actually knew when Thanksgiving was, but I forgot that it was coming up. Because every year I'd ask my wife, like, when's Thanksgiving? Like, is it like, I don't know why, but I was always like, oh, is it the 25th or the 24th, 23rd, 26th? And they're like, I think I'm right? It's the last Thursday of November. Is that right?
Third Thursday of November, I believe.
Third Thursday. Oh, right. I just checked it.
You're gonna make me all think second guess myself now. I'm just like, I just went all America on us.
All right, I guess I was wrong this year because usually I just thought it was last Thursday of November. But
no. Yeah. Halloween is the last day. Is the last day of October always. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Christmas is on the 25th. New Year's is the last day of the year.
This is why I need a calendar because I messed. I guess I didn't know. But this year I guess I still don't know when Thanksgiving is. Come next year, I'm going to forget it again. Watch. So this year I actually knew it was going to be the coming week, but I've just been so busy that when the actual week came, I was like, shit, it's going to be Thanksgiving this year. So I totally forgot about it in that sense because I've been just so busy. I was like, damn, November's ending already. End of the year's ending. Still didn't do the cameo video yet. So yeah, Thanksgiving, I didn't do anything. I was at home, actually doing a lot of stuff for the dojo. Like we just had a board meeting today. I was preparing a lot of the documents. Won't go into the details, but yeah, a lot of behind the scenes stuff to help grow the dojo, basically, like market it and things about the beginners program. And I'm also was doing a lot of reading, catching up. Like I was taking a break from the ecological dynamic stuff and honestly kind of burnt out by it, mostly because of the discourse around it and the mostly from one specific grappling community, but I'm not going to say which martial art, but
there's only two that do it.
There's only two that do it. No, actually, like there's actually a lot of other sports that do it and grappling too. But I'm doing some reading on modern sports science now. Not sports science, sorry. Strength and conditioning. And it's kind of tied to ecological dynamics, which is how I got interested in how I got sidetracked to reading that is using ecological dynamics on strength and conditioning. So I just went down a rabbit hole there. Plus I have a lot of books on gymnastic training and stuff that I need to go through. So I've been just doing that. What else? I think that's literally why I did in Thanksgiving was just relax and played a little bit of games and was reading. I actually bought a new game and posted it on Instagram. Yeah. And someone messaged me, was like, how do you have time for all these games? And I'm just like, I don't. I just collect them. All right. I mostly collect them. And also, I told them I buy games that are highly rated, like people recommend it to me. And then I play like a couple hours. And then if it doesn't catch me on the first 4 hours of the game, then I drop it. Even though if they tell me, like I get people telling me, oh, you have to play past the 28-hour mark and then it gets really good.
28-hour mark.
20 hour. Oh,
20. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, my time is too valuable for this. Like, I'm just going to, I don't care how good it is. I'm just going to drop it. Or if I'm really interested, I will just YouTube the story, like some people that play the game for you and I can just fast forward it. So, yeah, so that's the real answer. I don't have time for it. I only have time for games where I can sit in bed, play a couple rounds before bed and put it down and then go to bed.
That's why I only play fighting games. I don't have time to be playing all these long ass games.
My favorite genre is JRPGs, but the stories are so long and there's a lot of grinding. And then if I put it down, come back to it a month later, I'm just like, where am I? Why am I in the middle of the field? Like, what am I supposed to do? Which princess am I supposed to save? Like, who is this guy that I'm in a party with, right? So yeah, the short answer is I don't have time for that kind of stuff. So yeah.
And you'll be taking another trip soon.
Yeah, and I'm taking another trip soon. I thought I would be playing games on the plane, but I actually been doing reading. So I have a ton of BJJ instructionals I bought. Like, don't tell my wife this, but I probably spent $2,000 on instructionals.
But you put it online so everyone else can hear this and send it to her.
She's not gonna. It's $2,000 worth of instructionals, and honestly, this is why I have that controversial view in instructionals being mostly useless. Because a lot of them are, I think, not very good, and I mostly buy them because I can review it, not because I need it or want it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because people always talk about how good, I won't throw names out there, but people will always be like, oh, this instructional is so good. So this is so good. So I buy them and then I watched it and I'm just like, Philippe went over this last week.
Well, it's also, it's the thing is that people that don't do judo, that do other grappling styles or the martial arts will see someone's video or online thing and be like, oh man, that's great. That's fantastic. It's like, if you just went to a judo class, you probably would have learned that or something. You would have learned that technique or learned how to do it then.
Yeah. Or it's just not something that people are ready to learn sometimes yet. I think that'll be another episode discussion. Let's not go too deep into it, but for the most part, I think most instructionals are a waste of money, and it's a very good, I can see why people buy them and enjoy it because it's entertaining and it makes you feel like you learned something. Like, I
don't know. I'll always stand by Kashiwazaki's videos.
Yeah. So that's an example of a good one, but it's not, the stuff that he teaches is not fancy. It's not like a Imanari roll or like some 360 Baron Bull. I don't know any fancy shit anymore.
What their names are.
Yeah.
I remember the first time someone asked me, Sensei, do you know Baron Bolo? It's like, I'm not familiar with him. Who is he? Who's that guy? It's like, no, it's this. I'm like, oh, no. I don't know.
Kashiwazaki stuff is just, I teach the kids and adults, both can do it. It's effective. You see it at high level judo and beginner level judo. It's just, and you can add on top of it. It's just that's what's fundamentals are, I think, in a sense. No, I wouldn't use the word fundamentals, but basically like it's a very good first thing to teach people. But and that's instructionals.
So let's get to something that's very interesting. We talked a few weeks about how you were going to go to the French Judo Federation and USA Judo Federation. We're going to combine to create to sell a program to put judo in school. They're going to do an online program and then a 5-day program. We were hoping Anthony was going to go to it. He went to the online part, but because of his traveling situation, he won't be able to go the in-person 5-day class seminar.
Yeah.
So sadly, I'm sorry to tell everybody we're not going to be doing a review on that after all.
Yeah. I originally was interested, and then I sat in on the meeting and stuff and asked some questions, and I realized I'm going to miss at least one day of it because I'm flying. I'll be on the airplane on the first day that it starts. And then they sent out more information, and as I looked into it, it was very similar to stuff that I already read. Because for those who don't know, the French Judo France, whatever, I don't know the name. France Judo Association uploads their resources for teaching kids and everything online. And it's nothing like a certain country's national governing body version of it.
Who said that?
We have it too, basically, but it's nowhere near as intricate and how do you say it? Systemized in a way, and I guess tested, right? Because people mostly just ignore it. Let's just be truthful. So you can find those online, although it's in French. Like I actually have it saved on a Google Drive, like in case I delete it. And I've read through it and I use it. I actually use it in my classes too. I don't want to say word for word, but I took elements of it. So Judo Canada has the same thing. I have that too. So I looked through the PDF and stuff. And I'm just like, man, like it's pretty similar to stuff I did already. Plus that week, I have guests visiting, I have friends visiting, and I'm just very exhausted already from all the traveling and the stuff I've been doing on the side. So I just ultimately decided not to go. But if any of our listeners go, let us know how it is. I still would like to go. Is just back to what I said about in the previous episode, right? Like, what's the opportunity cost, right? I'm sacrificing, my wife being upset with me, and also I have to take off early from work to go because it's like 3 to 8 p.m. for 5 days straight. And then also my friends will be visiting, and I'd have to miss out on hanging out with them. So
did they release where it was going to be happening at?
It's going to be in. There's an email. I don't remember. It's an email. So. And the only requirement to go is that you have to be 18 or older, I think. So there's no like black belt requirement or anything. Although by the time this episode comes out, the deadline to sign up would have passed already because it's tomorrow, Monday, the 27th. So it just kind of defeats the purpose. But if anyone goes, let us know, like maybe talk about it. But I just think I might learn something from it, but I feel like it's going to be stuff that I already know because I did all this research on it. And I don't think any sort of seminar could beat reading books on child psychology and child development, honestly. So, specifically in sports, and I did a lot of reading on that. So, pick up a book is what I would say. But going to the seminar would probably be a condensed version for people who don't want to read the books. This is what I think. There's also the part. What was the other part I was going to say? I forgot. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Well, other than that, so there was also a viewer question we wanted to go over before going.
It was not a viewer question, but a comment, right? So I got a couple of these comments while they were listening to the podcast last episode. And they're like, "Oh, this whole episode's about Anthony's midlife existential crisis." And I didn't talk about it in that episode, but I've been actually saying stuff like this ever since I was like 13 or 15.
He's been having an existential crisis since he was 13.
So I've been saying this all the time, and I'm so used to hearing this phrase, which is like, you're too young to say that. You're too young to think like that. Because I also tell Philippe stuff like, I want to do this before I die. I want to do this before this. I don't want to waste my time doing this. And he's like, you're too young to be talking like that. Like, I've been hearing that my whole life. And all of a sudden now, I think in the last couple of years, I'm 34, 35, 33, like those years, people are like, oh, you're having a midlife crisis. So it went from,
well, to live to 60, that's it.
Yeah. So people went from saying I'm too young to think like that when I was in high school and middle school to you're having a midlife crisis now. And I just think it's, I don't know where it ends. So what is an appropriate time to think about not wanting to waste your life away? I don't know.
I don't think there is a wrong time. I really don't think there's wrong. Because those young people talk about that. Oh, I'm gonna go travel Europe because I'd rather do it now than when I'm old and I can't do it. Live like that. Oh, YOLO life, live young now.
I feel like there was like later. 2 years, like after you graduate, you have those 2 years in your 20s that you could like basically like YOLO and waste your life. And then afterwards it's like, oh, you're too old to talk like that now.
Well, it's funny because the other day I was training with Will. I think it was the Friday that's actually day for Thanksgiving. We were training together, and it was a very small class. It was like only maybe 6 or 8 of us maybe in the class that day. That's just a very small class for us. And he was like, where's everybody at? And I was like, some people are at home. And we were talking about like, what would you do if you weren't at judo? And I was telling Will about Oh, because his job was someone at his job was asking like, what does he do for fun? And he's talking about like, oh, I go snowboarding, I do judo, I do this, I work out. And they're asking, when do you have the time for that? And I tell them, yeah, because you know what they're doing? They're at home watching TV, watching videos, watching movies and stuff, not working out. And I was like, that's what people do, you know? I mean, talk about that give and return of not prices of like give your
opportunity cost.
Your time.
Yeah.
You know, we'd rather be at judo or working out or doing something, whether not saying not doing this in your life, but even me, I love movies. I love TV shows. I watch a lot of stuff, but I'm glad that my hobby and one of my loves of film and television is something I can do while doing other things at the same time. You don't know how many shows and movies I have watched with my plastics on, cutting weight on the bike at home. All right.
I think what really helped me stop watching, well, I never really watched movies or TV as much in general already, but overall, I think quality of movies have went down because I'm tired of seeing reboots and superhero movies. So one was that. And two, I totally stopped watching TV even before everyone went streaming. Mostly because of the ads. Like, talk about wasting time. Like, I don't think watching TV is a waste of time if you're watching something you like, but a lot of people just watch ads. A lot of freaking ads. And yeah, but anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is I've been thinking this way for a long time, and I'm not saying like, oh, look at how well I've lived my life, because I've wasted time too, and I always thought this way, but I wasn't always living this way. Because I do waste time doing other stuff and think I'm young and always have time to do something later on. But what really, funny enough, what really hit me what really made me realize this was when I started judo and Muay Thai and Wing Chun. And I think I was doing something else. I don't remember what. I think it was picked up bike cycling. That's what I did. When I was doing all that stuff, at first I'm like, I'm gonna try all this stuff and pick one. I think I told this story in a really old episode before, but I'm only gonna pick one. And I ended up liking all of them. And I was able to fit all these stuff into my schedule. Plus I was able to add in like weightlifting and conditioning to supplement it. And at that point I was like, man, all those times in the past when I said I don't have time for it, I was full of shit. Like, I really just didn't, it wasn't important enough for me to make time for it. But if I've found stuff I really want to do and prioritize it correctly, or at the time I hated running, but I ended up adding running into it because it helps my goal of doing Muay Thai or whatever last through the class, then I could do it. I could fit it. So that's when I started really packing in my schedule and doing all these other hobbies. But it came to a point also where I realized I was over, maximizing stuff to the point where I was getting exhausted mentally and physically. And also I would like analyze everything before I actually do it, when it was probably better off to just do it. So yeah. That's my response to those comments. So, yeah, I guess you can say I'm having a midlife crisis, but it's not new. I guess I had it since I was a teen. So
you just want to get the most out of life. I get it. You know?
Yeah.
That's how I was with martial arts. Like, I've always wanted to travel, but I never traveled as much as I've always wanted to, you know? I've only been out the country a few times, and it's only been to Mexico. So there's other places in the world I like to go. But my thing with the whole thing, like I told a story about Rashad talking about how Rashad used to work in a morgue or something. Was looked at. That's why he went to MMA. That's kind of how I live my life when it comes to martial arts. Whatever martial arts I wanted to try, I always tried. The reason I went to kickboxing, I had some kickboxing matches because I wanted to try it. The reason I had MMA fights because I wanted to try it. I never wanted to live my life of like, what could have happened when it comes to martial arts. But that's me, you know. Not that many people want to try cage fighting for fun, you know.
Yeah. So I guess to add to the last episode, basically, don't you should think about it before you actually do it, like the risks and opportunity costs, like we said, but don't like overanalyze like, oh, how many sets of uchikomis do I really need to do? Like, like that kind of crap. Just do it. So.
All right. Now, with that, let's go into what's more MMA news than it is judo news, but I'm bringing this in there because it is big news in martial arts and the world of judo in relative cousinly or something. I don't know what you call it, but so most of you all know by now, the PFL has purchased Bellator. Okay.
Yeah, I think we talked about that like a couple months ago, right?
No, we talked about it. It was supposed to happen, and you and me, it wasn't publicized yet. Then there was a Reddit thread, and you sent me and stuff. But it's now official. It did become official to this week, anyways.
I think it had to go past like regulators, basically.
Yeah, but it's official that PFL bought Bellator. So Bellator's 15-year career of being the number 2/number 3, depending on how you look at things, MMA federation in the U.S. has come to an end. From Bjorn Repney all the way to Scott Coker, it is now done. From being an independent thing to now being owned by Viacom to now being owned by to PFL now. So the PFL, as what they say, is they're going to keep Bellator as a separate entity. PFL is going to focus mostly on the U.S. and the tournament scene and the super fights. They're going to use Bellator as their shows for outside the country. So the only place they put shows on outside the country is in Europe. They don't put shows in Mexico. They don't put shows in Middle East. The shows they do in conjunction with Ryzen, those are in Japan, but those are mostly Ryzen Bellator code main events. They're not just straight up Bellator events. So it's going to be interesting seeing what's going to happen. They now, I believe it said, have this huge, I forgot the number was, I heard on a podcast, but it's a huge number of people now. And what I heard they're going to do is that they're going to give people choices that to stay in a contract with them, you can either get entered in their tournament, which is their I don't know what they call it, but what are their tournament series each year that they have, or do super fights, which is what like Francis Ngannou and Kayla's doing now. The super fight series. The cool thing about Bellator, the PFL, is that we all know their tournament that they do each year, you become a millionaire. You know, if you win the tournament, you win $1 million
before taxes.
No, after taxes, because you get your pre-fights and stuff, you get paid then. But yes, after taxes, who knows how much half that is? It be half or 60%?
It's probably close to half. Yeah.
So you win $500,000. You win 2 tournaments, you got to be a millionaire. So that's very interesting. That's going to happen. The reason I bring up, because PFL has some good judo players in there. That's why I always bring them up. They also promote their judo players. Some of you might be like, but Juan, what about the UFC? Well, the UFC doesn't promote their judo players. And there was actually 2 judo players fought in the last UFC card 2 weeks ago. 2 female Brazilian ladies fought. And there was no good throws. They stood up the entire time. I think it was...
no, sorry, continue. I'll let you finish. I think that's a different point.
No. So that's just thing happening in Bellator right now. So it's very interesting that these are 2 combining things. This is one organization that UFC did not buy. I really have questions about what's going to happen with the Bellator's negotiation or a partnership with Ryzen, because there's that one they want to fire Juan.
Right, I totally forgot about that.
Juan, oh my God, I can't remember his last name now. But you all know he dressed up like a Spaniard and stuff. He came out looking like an Aztec warrior last time I posted on my own Instagram. He always comes out with some cool ass stuff. But I believe he was still in contract with Bellator, but was fighting with Ryzen because of negotiation.
We all know these contracts are super one-sided. We all know that. Yeah. So
they're one-sided anyways, but he's their champion. He's the Ryzen champion right now. Yeah. He's I think it's the 135 champion, I want to say. Either 130 or 145 champion, either or, whatever. So I'm really interested in what's going to happen with that one, how the contract happens. But that's really cool. Let's see what happens. Let's hope that they get a new deal, because I know Bellator's contract with Showtime. Showtime's getting out of the MMA business. They're getting out of boxing. They're getting MMA. They were never in kickboxing, but Showtime just like, we're done with this now. We're washing our hands of it. That's why Bellator was up for sale, and that's why Viacom's just getting rid of it. So PFL, as some of you may know or may not know, has a contract with ESPN. Their ESPN contract, I'm not sure if it's up this year or next year, but that's up soon as well. So I wonder what they're going to do, if they're going to stay with ESPN, because they already have the UFC. There's code thing right now.
Yeah.
They already have the UFC. Is PFL going to get a better contract? Like, who knows? Maybe they might go to CBS, because CBS is the only other channel out there.
PFL is with NBC right now, right? I thought.
Are they with NBC? No. Well, I don't know where they may have been, but I know their main contract right now is ESPN.
Do they even broadcast PFL outside of America?
Yeah, and a bunch of different channels and stuff. But the main thing, like what happened this past weekend, was their one pay-per-view. They were trying to do multiple pay-per-views last year, did terribly. So this year, they decided to do one big pay-per-view, which they do every year for the most part for the championships. But it's like, what are they going to do? Are they going to go to a main broadcasting channel? Are they going to stay with ESPN? Why would ESPN keep them? They have UFC already. It's this weird thing, like what's going to happen with them because they bought Bellator. So they must have something in the works to make this work out, especially if they're going to keep PFL be their American brand, but Bellator their European or out of the country brand, they're saying.
I just wish we could have ONE FC here. Honestly, that's I'm a ONE FC fan personally. I think all the other ones are Bellator. I liked it, like the fighters and the matchups, but it's always so inaccessible and poorly marketed. Like it was totally mismanaged.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day when when Bellator first started, one of their first TV deals they got was with ESPN DOS or something, or it was ESPN DOS. It was like the ESPN Spanish, or it was Fox Sports Spanish. So it wasn't on an English speaking channel. It was on the Spanish speaking channel at first.
So hopefully PFL does a better job with them, but I like watching ONE FC. It's just, again, I don't have time to really watch it, and it's not very accessible. I wish I could just turn on a streaming service or channel and watch it easily.
Well, they have their big shows on Prime now. They have that Prime deal with them, where they have like one big show.
I couldn't find it. Like I wonder.
Okay, yes, I will understand. So if you go to Prime, go to sports, and then you have to search sometimes MMA or mixed martial arts something.
I was about to say I work with Amazon web service tech stuff basically, and they're notoriously known to have terrible user interface design. I don't know how a company like that could not hire better UX designers, but.
Well, I think it'll be like the day of fights, and I'll turn it on and be like, okay, let's see what fights happen, or I'm going to watch a show, and it's not up there on the thing. I'll be like, okay, so I have to go to the sports section, go to martial arts where their combat thing is.
I don't want to watch it enough to actually go through it. Is what I'm saying. If I can't find it, I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll go play my backlog of games. Like that's what I'm gonna do instead. Because usually when I play games, I'm exhausted already. I don't want to go through that bullshit. But I wish it was ONE FC. I mentioned it before, but I have controversial opinion, but I think ONE FC has on average better fighters. Versus I don't even think it's true anymore, because I think the UFC matchups has been a joke lately, but in the past, at least, I would only watch like the main card. I would like the prelims. I'm just like, man, this looks like me when I was like a week, and I'm exaggerating, but a week, like in my head, it was like a week of me into kickboxing or something like that. But like even the grappling was like very not high level,
not the best. I understand.
My
thing is more sometimes some matchups they make, like, there's people that they're protecting, they see it, and one does this too. One does this very badly too and stuff. But you see like the whole thing, like right now with not Cody. Oh God, I can't remember his name now. I'm blaming Cody for this. The one that's going to fight for the 170 title.
Is Covington? Kobe Covington? You talking about?
Yes, Kobe Covington.
Yeah.
Yes, that one. He's won one fight out of like 1 out of 3 fights in 4 years or 5 years, but he's getting a title shot.
Yeah.
He's
a trash talk. So people want to watch him get his jaw broken.
Sean O'Malley, the guy that's the 145 champion.
Got propped up.
The only reason that guy's a champion is because they like gave him no wrestlers, no grapplers.
And then when he actually fought someone good, he lost. I think I remember. But
when he's supposed to lose, like in my opinion, he got a decision that he shouldn't have gotten. But hey, that's
that one too. Yeah, one too. I remember that.
Okay, so let's continue talking about the PFL now. Talk about some good stuff.
Wait. I want to watch. I was gonna say. I actually want to watch ONE FC fights even without all the drama stirring shit. But then people want to watch UFC because of like, this guy talks so much shit. Like I think that's like some weird American culture.
It's a weird American. No, it is super a weird American thing.
Half the time it's fake. The other half the time it makes me not want to watch it, honestly. So I don't have it. This is why one of the reasons I don't watch UFC anymore is because of that. But PFL, I'm like, oh man, Rotang, I love his Muay Thai. Like I want to watch him fight this other guy who's like really good at striking. Because I guess you have to actually know the fighters to actually and understand how good they are to want to watch the fight. But then if you're a casual Joe that never trained in his life, then you're just going to go by this guy's trash talking. So and a record, I guess.
And he means one championship. That's what he's talking about. Because Rodtang doesn't fight in PFL. That'd be cool if he did, but no, he doesn't.
I said ONE FC.
No, you didn't. He said PFL with your last one.
Watch me edit this and go back and edit this last time. I hear myself saying ONE FC.
Did you ever watch? We're getting off topic now, but did you watch the bare knuckle Muay Thai fight they had?
I sent it to you. Yeah. You're talking about not Rodtang. You're talking about Sanchai versus Bukau.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did watch that.
That was a fun fight. That was
fun. Yeah. You see, like I know them. I know they're both good. So I'm gonna watch them. They didn't.
Us as martial art guys know that. You know. You know what's funny? I was talking to a kickboxer one time, and I was talking about how John Way Park was in one championships and how he was in a fight. God, who's that other good kickboxer he fought? But I was like, well, John Way's just so old. And he's like, who's John Way Park? Who are you talking about? Who's that? Like, how do you not know who John Way Park is? How do you not know that? And you're a kickboxer? How do you not know who he is? He's one of the best kickboxers in the world, but you don't know who he is. It's something that also how I get on the band horse. Like, I'm a big fan of Rico Verhoeven. Mm-hmm. And I know some people are kind of like, he's not that good anymore and stuff. He's getting older, but it's like, I'm still a huge fan of Rico Verhoeven. Best heavyweight kickboxer. I don't say of all time because I'm still a huge fan of Rainbow Jaski, one of my favorites of all time to watch when I was younger. And even that, I still loved Andy Hung. Still one of my favorite. I still watch his old fights back in the day.
People in America would boo, like at most of the events, they would boo any sort of grappling or wrestling that happens, but they'll get excited when all these hot exchanges happen. But then they watch a sport where like being technical is the beauty of it. And there's kickboxing and Muay Thai, which is full of action, and nobody wants to watch that. I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. You want to watch striking, watch kickboxing, watch Muay Thai. There's great kickboxing Muay Thai out there, but no, I want to watch MMA.
Hard strikes, MMA. Tough people, lots of blood. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't
talk
watch
smack
it.
when they're doing Newas on the ground. Oh, get them up, man. This sucks. Oh, he's holding on to him. Which we're going to talk about that next, because this past weekend, PFL had their big pay-per-view. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to talk about.
Is that a Kayla Harrison one?
Yeah, it's a Kayla Harrison one. So I'm going to talk about this one last thing before getting to the pay-per-view that happened this past weekend, which is their main pay-per-view of the year where they crown all the yearly champions, you know? So you go to a tournament, you become champion. Great. Fantastic. One thing they are going to do is they want to have a champion versus champion pay-per-view either this year. Well, it has to be this year. It has to be next year. It has to be 2024 sometime with their current champions, current tournament champions, PFL current tournament champions versus Bellator current champions right now. And they had some face-offs after their matches and stuff. People talking smack already. I think who called out? Someone called out Bader, Ryan Bader. I want to call him by his
why
nickname.
Why do people call people out? Well, I know why. It's rhetorical.
Well, the whole thing is like, you just won the champ. I can't remember his name right now, off the top of my head, but you just won the championship. You're gonna get it. No, he's not gonna fight Bader. Is it whatever? Someone's calling out Vader and stuff, and I was like, whatever. We're gonna have these champion matches, which I hope that becomes a pay-per-view, and I hope it does well. Just because I want more opportunities and more places for guys to fight in the U.S. and more international fighters, so they have places to go. All right, so that should be interesting and something to keep your eye on next year. Now, this last week, yesterday, pretty much, it was Friday. Today is Sunday. I'm getting all confused now. Was the PFL's end of the year pay-per-view to crown their champions. Kayla Harrison, she did not compete in a tournament this year. She decided to take a year off after a loss last year. So she took some time off, healed some wounds, got better, worked on her striking, had a super fight instead this year. So she fought, what was the girl that she fought? What's her name? It was Aspen Ladd, which used to, some of you guys might remember UFC, her. She fought, former fight in the UFC.
I was gonna say, like, Aspen Ladd looks. I always thought she fought in like bantamweight or featherweight.
Like, well, this fight was at 155.
Yeah, it's. I love Kayla, but this person doesn't belong in that weight class. I'm pretty sure.
So well, who does? You know. But
I'm looking at it right now. She was at flyweight for a while, and then featherweight and bantamweight.
But I remember her missing a lot of weight. Like that was one of the reasons why she got cut is because her last like 2-3 fights, she missed weight twice or something.
3 times.
So, 3 times. Oh, 3. Yeah. Okay. Damn. So since going to PFL, she's been 2-1. All right. Since going to PFL. Well, after fighting Kayla, she's now 2-2 because Kayla got the UD decision. Yeah. Round 1, Kayla took her down. There was a great Aspen kept getting up, fighting to get back up. There was one where they didn't get it good on camera, but she got her with a good uchimata. They called it, they didn't know what it was. They called it like a turnover. They didn't know what was happening. Round 2, same thing. Kayla takes her down. She gets back up. Kayla got her with, I would call a Ryagoshi. The Kenny Florian called an Osotogari. I can understand how you can see it either way.
I literally just made a Reddit post about it last week.
Did you? Did you read it last night too?
Yeah.
What do you think it was? What did
I didn't see it. No, I'm saying I wrote a very detailed post about Haraigoshi versus Ashiguruma versus Sotogari and how often, especially in no-gi, it kind of blends together.
Yeah, well, to me, it doesn't really matter. As a judo player, the way she swept her leg, in my opinion, it was harai. But I can see in someone that does the way her moved her hips slightly over.
I will say 90% of the time it's never harai. It's always in no-gi. 90% of the time it's either Ashiguruma or Sotogari. But it does happen.
So, and she did do the combination. Where you do the leg grab and then you do the ochigari takedown. That one that I love to do that you hate because you got a concussion.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get concussion. I got a concussion from a double leg.
Oh, was that the double leg? All right. But basically, Kayla controlled the match, held her down. Really didn't do a whole lot of submission attempts. Off the top of my head, I can't remember now. I should have wrote it down. But, it was a good match, a good win for Kayla, get her confidence back up. She's back in there. And after her fight, she called out, guess who?
The person she lost to?
Actually, no, she should have called her out.
Yeah, but that logically, that's what I would do.
Think about it. Okay, I'm telling you, think about it. They just bought Bellator. Who's under contract at Bellator?
I have no idea.
Cyborg.
Oh, I thought she retired.
I believe she's still under contract with Bellator, but they're allowing her to do boxing matches outside.
Wasn't Cyborg dodging Kayla for a while?
It was one of the things where they would call it like Kayla would call her out, then Cyborg would say something. I don't know. She could be. I don't want to say.
I heard they had the contract ready and she didn't sign it, but we'll always know how the contracts are, right? So
yeah. And I think because Kayla is bigger than Cyborg, because Cyborg fights at 45. That's her most comfortable weight is 45. Where Kayla can make 45, but she fights at 55. So whatever. So that was a great match. Good one for Kayla. Good thing for judo. The 2-time PFL champion getting a super fight, getting her win back, calling out Cyborg. Well, at least to me, I thought she talked about Cyborg. Couldn't we talk about somebody else? I don't know.
Probably Cyborg brings in money because honestly, the girl beat Kayla and still don't even know her name. I don't remember what her face looked like, honestly. So
Russian, dark hair, short, tattoo, neck tattoo.
Yeah, so I guess it logically makes sense for a paycheck, though. I don't know why you would beat Cyborg. Cyborg for the money, I guess.
So it's kind of funny because we had judo open the show and we had judo close the show because Olivier Mercier,
the French guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Olivier. If you don't know his full name,
French Canadian. I'm going to correct that. Yeah.
So Olivier, who won the Bellator lightweight championship last year, defending champion, makes all the way to the finals. Congratulations to Olivier as well because he won a unanimous decision as well. So he's now 2-time Bellator lightweight champion, which means that he'll have to fight he's now 2-time PFL champion. He'll fight the Bellator champion, which I cannot remember if it's Pitbull.
The singer?
No, Patricky Pitbull, the Pitbull brothers. Not the same. Yes, he's gonna come out. Dale, come out.
I don't know. Celebrity boxing is a thing now, apparently. So,
well, PFL does sign one of the Paul brothers. I can't remember which one it is. Jake or the other one. Sean.
Yeah.
Sean.
I refuse to give those guys any attention at all or talk about them. So
yeah. So they do have that, but so congratulations, Olivier. Him also, he did a lot of double legs, a lot of control on the ground, good submission attempt in the last round. The only throw he got off was a Haraigoshi. He did throw with Haraigoshi. He did get a full turn on it. So unless someone wants to call it something else. which is funny because sometimes I think it's hilarious. I can't remember who did it last week in the UFC.
Someone did it, Horaigoshi. Yeah.
No. Someone did an Uchimata, but they kept calling it Haraigoshi.
Oh, that I don't know.
All right. Someone like did through, and I think it was someone who was like, "Oh, that great Haraigoshi!" Like legs inside Uchimata. This is Anthony's Hanagoshi. So congratulations, 2 judo players out there winning, 2 judo players out there doing well, showing their judo, and just hopefully getting some eyes on the sport for us. You know,
I doubt it's going to get eyes on the sport, but. It would have happened ages ago, which it did back in the 60s, I guess. But like, I think it would have happened by now because people never. It mostly has to do with the commentators, I guess, and the media when they interview them. They never really talk about their judo training.
Well, things like whenever they throw, oh, that's great judo. But as soon as you go to the ground, oh, his BJJ. And it's like, no, his newaza, his judo newaza.
Yeah.
Even when Ronda was fighting, every time Ronda would go to the ground, they'd be like, oh, her BJJ this. She's been training with BJJ that.
I mean,
I sound like a BJJ hater again.
Even what's his name? GSP?
Mm-hmm.
When they did media coverage of the fights and stuff, you never see him talk. Well, he briefly mentions it, but no one remembers about his karate training. They don't talk about it or anything. Same thing with Lyoto Machida. They say he's a karateka, but don't really show him training karate.
Oh, they show Lyoto all the time doing karate. GSP,
really?
The more famous he got, the more of a wrestler he became. Yeah, they would put his karate in the back burner.
Yeah.
But Lyoto, they would always talk about his karate.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with Kayla. Well, Kayla doesn't really train judo anymore. That's another reason, right? I think she doesn't. I think she probably helps out in Jeremy Pedro's place. But they never really talk about her judo, really. Too much. They do talk about it, but not. They don't really put it in a spotlight. Does that make sense? Like the way that BJJ does, or wrestling, even.
It's how we talk about. It's how we talk about how BJJ gets advertisement every weekend, every fight.
Yeah,
he has a purple belt in BJJ. Yeah. He has a blue belt in BJJ. But
like, what's his name? Mighty Mouse. Belt. Mighty Mouse signed up for a tournament from BJJ on brown belt division. It's all over YouTube right now. What do you call DC and Khabib wrestling? They show that all the time everywhere. Like, I can't find any videos of Kayla training judo. Like or
Instagram. Her Instagram, she shows her training all the time, doing throws and practicing and teaching classes.
In judo?
Yeah, doing judo stuff.
I kind of haven't looked at it in a while. Let me anyway.
Even Ronda Rousey had a UFC fight. I'm gonna say had a pro wrestling, had an independent pro wrestling match.
I'm looking at her last 20 posts right now. They're all in MMA gear and boxing gloves. They're all
hyping up the fight. That's why.
Yeah, there's one picture from September where she's teaching kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
September, last month.
Yeah. Last month? 2 months ago.
I was saying, even like look at Ronda right now she's doing independent wrestling shows just for fun. Mm-hmm. And she's wearing her judo gi when she fights now, when she comes out to the ring, which I think is cool.
Well, I don't watch wrestling, so that doesn't count.
Hey, wrestling, you're real to me, damn it. All right. All right, so that's what happened right now. The PFL has some judo players promoting judo. That's why I promote them. All right, and then when Zabib, what's UFC's middleweight lightweight champion's name?
Israel
Zabib, isn't it?
Zabib got kicked out lost his contract.
Oh, then it was whatever. I cannot remember his name right now. Other judo player. I'll promote him too when he has his next fight.
I thought it was Israel. What do you think talking about?
No, who's the UFC lightweight champion right now?
I thought it was Israel.
No, it's not.
This is
not middleweight.
Lightweight. I'm looking up. Islam, not Israel.
Islam.
Yes. I was thinking Israel, but I'm like, it's not Israel Hernandez.
Israel Hernandez.
Islam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Islam, another judo player right there. Yeah. And when he fights, which they don't talk about his judo, they talk about his wrestling. They'll go his wrestling, then his sambo, and then maybe they'll talk about some judo after that.
But he's been giving judo a lot of props on Instagram. He's been training judo and demonstrating.
Yeah, he posts it up, you know?
Yeah, and no one thinks about him when they think about judo. So I feel like it would help if judo people actually showed judo, but yeah.
All right.
Whatever.
So that was pretty interesting right there. So let's talk about some other stuff. So me and Anthony were going to talk about in this episode, we're going to discuss a little bit of things about reffing. And the reason we're bringing this up is because one of Anthony's, I don't know if Anthony, is he one of your favorite judo players or not?
I wouldn't say he's my favorite. He's funny as hell though.
So how do you say his last name? Rio
Kawabata.
Or I'm going to call him Rio Hard Gay Kawabata. So Rio, he's a former world champion, right?
Yeah. No, All Japan.
That's what it was. All Japan. Former All Japan champion, really cool judo player. He has some good moves. He's been in the U.S. on vacation or doing something traveling
He also
around.
goes by the name Don Mai. I'm not sure where you got that from, but on his YouTube
That's on his
channel,
IG.
is Don Mai. Yeah.
So he's in the U.S. He's traveling around. Anthony tried to invite him to our dojo. He didn't come.
I'm not that shameless, So I'm already sure he has everything planned out already with people so. Yeah.
So while in the U.S., he decided, you want to know what? Since I'm here in the U.S., I want to compete. And what happened, was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago? We had the President's Cup in Texas.
It was Dallas Open.
Yeah. We had the President's Cup / Dallas Open. And there's one thing that me and Anthony got an argument about like if you can do in Dallas Cup or not.
You were right. You were actually right.
Yes.
So
Juan is right. So
yeah.
He couldn't do the President's Cup because I believe it's an American only thing, but he can do the Dallas Open. So that's what he did. He did the Dallas Open because Dallas Open is open to anybody. During what match was it? Do you know if it was his gold medal match?
I think it was the finals or semifinals or something.
So during the match, actually, Anthony, do you want me to explain the match or do you want to talk about it?
You can explain it. You saw it, right?
All right. So during the match, he goes in for a throw. I think it was an Ochigari, or was it Ochi or Kochigari?
It was Kosoto.
Was it Kosoto?
Yeah, okay, it was Kosoto Gake, I believe.
Yeah, Kosoto Gake took the guy to the ground, and then when the guy went down to the ground, he rolled him over. He did one of those things where you fall on the ground and go, oh, yeah, I reversed everybody. I reversed. And it's like, in the rules of judo, you cannot do a reversal on your back. Now, you can do an attempt of a throw. You attempt to throw somebody, you throw someone, because it's people that argue like, well, what about Tomonage? What about this? Like, yes, you're doing the throw. If it's a reversal and you land first, you cannot get a point for that.
You can't use the floor as leverage to counter, basically.
Yeah. So Rio takes the guy to the ground. It's Ippon. All right. I saw it. I thought, I was like, okay, cool. Ippon, what's the controversy about this? I got the video. It looked, that was fine. They called it. They did the monitor thing even. They did a little square, checked the monitor. They waited. They looked around, waited some more, got confirmation, got the ear thing. All right. Ippon stands. He's the winner. Bow, shake hands, off the mat. And for some weird reason.
Oh, and then the next match happens too.
Yeah. Okay. So
the other matches happen.
Yeah. So even that makes it weird because in judo, we all know once you step off the match is done.
Doesn't matter how wrong the call was, basically.
Yeah. And that's what they tell us at these tournaments all the time. They tell us at the tournaments, tell the coaches meeting, tell us at the referee meetings and stuff. Once you're off the mat, the match is done. I don't care if you come with your cell phone, be like, look what happened here. Look what happened here. When the match is done, it is supposed to be done. Yeah.
Plus, they're not supposed to look at your cell phone anyway. So
yeah, they're not supposed to, even though it does happen sometimes. They're not supposed to. Gets off the mat. Then something weird happens. He gets called back to the mat. When he gets called back to the mat, they're like, oh, sorry, that Ippon didn't stand. We decided to wave it off for some reason, not knowing why. Okay. And did they give the guy the Wazari for that or something?
Yeah, they gave the Wazari to the other guy for countering him.
Yeah. So they gave the counter a Wazari. They gave the counter to Wazari, even though he already got thrown on his back. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't get this. And there's only like 40 some seconds left in the match. So guess what happens? They bow. They restart. The guy runs away, blocks the throws, runs away, wins the match.
Oh, no, he throws him off screen with a drop seoinage, I'm pretty sure.
Was it off screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought he just ran away.
No, he went off the camera and did a drop seoi, like I'm pretty sure it's Seoinage because he rose up and he dove in between his legs. And I couldn't see what happened. I'm assuming he stood up and it threw him. So.
Okay, I didn't know what happened there. I thought that he just ran away off the mat and stuff. Okay.
And he made a video statement basically afterwards saying he didn't know what was going on. He thought the match was over and he was like already untaping his fingers and everything. So like
so either way, they restart the match. The other guy, they gave him the win. Rio takes second place.
I think it said I'm a little confused because I just looked it up. It says it was final qualification. So I don't know if that usually means semifinal, right?
Yeah. But
it's just final qualification. Then also why would he say in his statement that after he won he was taking off his tape if it was a semifinal? I don't know why. Like he was
gonna retape his finger. Like the whole thing was confusing.
Yeah.
So that brings us back to about rules clarification. And certain things, the thing is supposed to be stopped. Now, refs, do you want to talk about now? This situation has happened to us ourselves.
Yeah,
this has happened to me and Philippe before coaching for people. This happened to you coaching for some people where someone didn't like what happened.
Yeah,
where someone didn't like what happened. The match finished. They got off the mat, and then they go to the head ref or another ref that's higher ranked than the ref that was on the mat. And be like, no, look what happened. They got like, oh yeah, we should restart that. You're not supposed to. The rules state that when the match is done, the match is done. And if refs watching our podcast want to help us out with this, that'd be great to come clarify some rules on this stuff, because that's something we've always been told, that you guys are not allowed to look at someone else's video footage. And that once a match is done, once you stepped off the mat, it's done. That's why they always say if you have what do they call it? If you have a problem with the match, you stay on the mat. Stay there, and you do get people that have hissy fits and stuff. I've seen that happen too.
No, I talked about it that one time. I told Scotty not to leave the mat, and I ended up being wrong. And in hindsight, I said I should have just accepted it, even if I was right. Like, it doesn't matter. So,
so I know refs get a lot of flack. You know, it's a thankless job. I appreciate you guys. I ref too sometimes. I have a refing certification. So that's why I ref usually our dojo stuff. I used to ref at smaller terms when I was a little bit younger and I need to get those points in. I don't do it anymore because, like I said, it's a thankless job. But here's one thing with refs also. If I want to coach, I have to get my coaching certification redone every 4 years or so. Okay. 4 to 5 years, depending on how long coaching certification is. So I have to redo the coaching certification every 4 years. Okay. For reffing certification, I don't know. Let me know how it is in other countries, please. Because in the US, or at least here in NACA, Southern California, it's hard to say this, I only have to take that class one time. I take that certification class one time and I'm a certified ref. I don't have to retest. I don't have to redo anything. I have to get certified again. I get taken that's one time and I can ref. And it is up to the refs, as far as I know, is up to the refs to keep up with the rule changes.
It's because there's not enough refs, and they make people recertify it and make it a requirement. Then they'll have even less refs than they do now. So
yeah, and you got crazy people like me and Anthony that we love judo. We watch that 6-hour judo seminar they do every year to clarify the rules. Me and him, we watch this. Yeah. Okay. Score or no score. Score or no score. And you know, all right. You my Spanish hero right there. All right. or the new one. Can we agree on this? Can we agree? Yeah. Can we agree? We agree, right? Okay. We move on. Can we agree? All right. Okay. Me and Anthony are crazy. We love the sport, so we do this. Refs get stuff wrong, but sometimes they have to be held accountable. That's just my thing.
How would you hold them accountable? There's no good solution for this.
The good solution is I know that there's not a whole lot of refs out there, and that's why like USGF tried to make reffing mandatory to get your black belt to get refs in there. But it is not fair that a guy that took his reffing cert, and we've seen this at places. They're 50 years old. I'm not picking on 50-year-olds or 60-year-olds and stuff. I'm trying not to, but they're older judo players that don't know the rules still, that haven't kept up the rules, that maybe they stepped away from judo for a little while, come back, and they're coming to be 1970s rules over here. Yeah. We've had refs ask you, me, myself, what is golden score? Are they allowed to do 2 grips? It's like, sir, you are the ref, not me.
I had a referee come up to me and ask me that question. Like, how long is golden score? I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, what?
Are you serious?
Yeah. And this was like recently too, like 2 years ago. It's not like Golden Score's been around for a long time.
And it's a regular ref guy. It's a guy that I see on the mats regularly helping people out.
I also had someone tell me that 2 leg grab shidos is Hansokamake. So like
again, and that's when that caught me off guard, because I don't remember that part in the video, but I looked it up and it is leg grabs are shidos. Okay. I wish it was 2 leg grabs, Hansokamake, but it's not anymore. Okay. It is not. But that's up to the refs to know that. And that's why there's 3 refs. That's why there's 3 refs and video refs. Someone there should know the rules.
And part of it is IJF to blame too, honestly, because they don't make it very clear. Like, for example, when they banned Udegaeshi, I just happened to be looking up the rules because I forgot something, or I wanted to either I forgot something or someone asked me a question and I wanted to grab the diagram that they show. Yeah. And then I was like, wait, what? This slide wasn't here before. Why is Udegaeshi banned? That's how I came across it. And they don't really announce these things. It's not open everywhere, openly. So they also leave a lot of stuff like to the federations themselves to do it. And it's like there's gray areas. Like right now, we're still unclear whether what do you call it? The Peruvian necktie choke is illegal or not, because the Arabic judo referee judo federation made a YouTube video saying it's going to be banned. But then IJF never said anything. It's not under official rules. So what does it mean?
Well, maybe it's banned there. Okay. It's banned, just like how Nakas, for some weird reason, decided that women shouldn't armbar. So they decided for, I think it was like a year or so. Oh, no ladies can armbar. Well, we're black belts. Sorry, ladies can't armbar for some reason. We're going to take that away. Didn't make sense. But it's the thing about how IGF also, like, they put out a thing being how that made me look like a fool a few months ago. And people were like, Juan, why'd you put up an old video? Because of, oh God, IGF put the video saying that, oh, we're going to clarify the rules. We're going to put it up. So I put up what I thought was the updated one, and it wasn't. It was mislabeled, and the updated one was another video that I had to look up.
They don't have a really good, clear system of when rules are updated and what's changed. It's a freaking PowerPoint document, and if you're lucky, you'll get one that says "New Slide 2023." Like, well, they'll say that, but
that's why there's people like you and me that are eagle eye looking out for this stuff. You know?
Yeah.
We were going to talk about this. So this is just us a little ranting about refs and stuff, but we're going to talk about how they did do a clarification, and Anthony watched the video and there were some interesting things there in this new video as well.
Yeah. So if you go back to our previous episode on this topic, it was on the EJU, the European Judo Union, hosted a joint seminar with IJF on the referee rules. So this time it was in Casablanca with the African Judo Union. It was not very much different. Like the topics that they covered were not much different from the last seminar. So if you kind of want a more detailed approach, coverage of that, go back to that episode and look at it. But what's changed is how they presented the examples and the examples and what do you call it, and how they presented it, and the tone as well as I'm thinking of. Should I say this? I'm not going to say it. I don't want to get shit for it.
What stops you now?
Yeah, I'm just going to skip it. It provides no value to say it, but it does worry me. Let's just say it does worry me that in this particular, I know African countries are very small judo countries, most of them, right? But it worries me that a lot of them couldn't tell what is considered a pushing out or not. Like, that's one, and also what a lot of people don't know what kawazugake is. So those two things was pointed out that I noticed basically. He was also much nicer. I forgot the guy's name, Daniel, whatever, his head referee. He was much nicer.
Can we agree? Can we agree?
Compared to his tone in the European judo.
Oh, the European one. He was like taking no shit at the European one.
He was completely being very
no tone.
Like, yeah.
He was calling it France. What do you think? France.
He was like, you know what? I don't care what you think. I want the guys from France. What do you think? It's kind of basically saying, shut up, big judo country. Do you think I'm right or not? It's
little
basically
judo country. Shut your mouth.
That's basically what it seemed like to me. His tone was really dismissive, and then his English also isn't very perfect. So a lot of times he would be like demonstrating stuff, and then people can't understand what they want them to do. He's like, put your foot there. No, there. No, here. Get out of the way. You come. You don't know why I'm talking. You come up. I'm like, what the hell? Your English is so rudimentary that they don't know where the hell you want you to demonstrate. So yeah, that was the tone definitely changed. Maybe they heard our podcast. I don't know, but
maybe just got yelled. You know, you're a little bit harsh in that last summit we had. Maybe tone it down a little bit. Yeah,
so he was much more nicer and makes an effort to explain what he wants people to do when they're demonstrating stuff. So that was nice. But I wrote down notes so I don't forget. But they go over a lot about Kaishiwaza. And this time when they went over Kaishiwaza, which is counters, they talk about how you have to look for control and whether you can identify the technique. And if that doesn't sound familiar to you, that was kind of what they were talking about when the Teddy Raniere controversy and Tasuev. Yeah. By the way, I still see people saying that was not Teddy got countered, and no, by the rules at the time, Teddy did not get countered. And they also clarify here saying if you don't have grips, then you don't have control.
Yes.
So if you
one
go
hand
back,
does not count as a grip. Well,
if you go, yeah.
You know what I mean out there, people.
Yeah. If you go back and watch the Teddy Raniere Tasuev controversial counter, Tasuev doesn't have a strong grip, and then he slips and then gets like taken over, like falls down on top of Teddy. It was not a counter. It has no control at all. So whether you can identify a technique or not doesn't matter in that case. But anyway, I don't want to go back to that episode where we talked about controversy, but so they basically reiterated that point many times, like, guys, identify that it's a technique, which honestly, anything that makes someone fall that doesn't fall under the main techniques, you can call it a hand technique, honestly, like Sumito Toshi.
It's all Tewaza.
So it's kind of like a moot point in my head. Like, he uses hands and turned him over. It's Sumio Toshi or Ukiyo Toshi. Like, so saying that you have to be able to identify a technique is a really
that would
stupid
be the cover
point,
all. It's all Sumio Toshi.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a stupid point, I think, to say whether you can identify as a technique or not. I think it's smarter to say whether they initiated an attack or have control. Or have a grip. Those are more solid things that you can look at. But it's same as when they talked about head dives. They refused to show Shohei Ono. This is why my tongue got twisted. Refused to show Shohei Ono. They refused to show Shohei Ono's clips of his obvious head dives, but they would show all these other clips saying, you can't do this, you can't do this. This is a head dive, this is a head dive, but they won't show Shohei Ono. In the same way, they talk about all these controversial calls, but this is like here, a controversial call, and they won't show Teddy Raniere's match. So
nope, no, I don't know what you're talking about, Anthony. Don't know what you're talking about.
I understand why they wouldn't show Shohei Ono's match because of they don't want to admit that they're wrong, basically. But here they admitted that they're wrong twice, so I don't know why they wouldn't use it as an example. So that's one. They also clarified one thing, which made me realize we get screwed over at the local level. Head dives being forced by uke is not hansokumake. So if I go in for uchimata and then I did a shitty uchimata, I didn't break their posture or anything, and they punch my head down and my head hits the floor first, it's not hansokumake. So this is something I didn't notice that they talked about before, but they mentioned
maybe
it
they
this
felt
time.
they had to clarify it.
So they clarified it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because Ramiro, if you remember Ramiro from our dojo.
No, I don't remember Ramiro. Who's that guy?
No, basically a bunch of people at our dojo has gotten called Hanzoku Maki before for doing Uchimata, and the other person punches their head into the floor. And we've gotten told many times by our local refs that it is your responsibility to demonstrate the technique, do the technique in a safe way where your head doesn't dive. So I'm just like, okay, instead of actually doing an encounter next time, I'm going to push the guy's head into the floor. So even if he throws me, he did a head dive.
Yeah. But knowing our luck, you'll get called on that. Oh, look, he pushed his head down the ground.
Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the things. Head diving being forced by the uke is not Hansoku Make. So we can bring that up next time if it happens to us, because it actually happens really often because we have a lot of Uchimata players at our dojo.
Hey, don't tell our secrets.
Yeah. So I already talked about the Kawazugake thing, pushing out. A lot of people wasn't sure what's going on. Oh, then there's this one ridiculous example that they showed about leg grabs. Was these guys were fighting and they had one guy had a really bent over position, and a guy tried to throw him with a surigoshi by grabbing the belt. And because he was so bent over, it didn't work. But the belt rid all the way up above the bottom of his back patch. So the belt was like loose, so it went all the way up, almost to above the belly button, basically.
So you know, like those old man pants where they come up really high on you up your chi-chis, okay?
Yeah. So I think I have the timestamp here. Do I have it? No, I don't have it anymore. But they pulled it up all the way, and then they were continued grip fighting. The guy kept bending over. So the guy lets go and then re-grabs. And he grabs the bottom of the guy's back patch. Like literally he's grabbing the very bottom corner of the black patch. And because the belt got ridden up, he was like, oh, this is a mate shido for leg grab. And I'm like, this guy's literally grabbing the upper back, middle of his back. And because the guy's belt was loose
beneath the
and
belt,
rid up,
they're calling it shido.
Yeah, this is freaking ridiculous. So I think that needs to be addressed. I never understood the under the belt call anyway. So just make it.
Well, I think it's just supposed to be an easy coverall of just like, okay, guys.
Yeah, there's no gray area. I understand.
Nothing beneath the belt. Okay, let's make it that easy. Nothing beneath the belt, guys. Don't grab. But it's a whole weird thing where, okay, if my gee's tucked in, I can't grab the bottom of the skirt. But if your gee's pulled out, I can grab the bottom of your skirt, no problem.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's really stupid. But anyway, that's one thing that really made my jaw drop, that they actually called that a shido. And then one other thing, back to the control thing, one other statement that he said that I put in quotes is, nobody can see control. Only the two athletes will know. So I don't know what that means when he said
no
that.
Control. No control on that.
How are you able to judge it? You know? So it's just really, really, I don't understand that statement, why they made that. And then they do a lot of section and false attacks. They had this whole section and false attacks. They always have section and false attacks, but this time they focus a lot on Soto Makikomi for some reason. I don't know why, but then I realized they were trying to talk about drop Seiya and Aige without actually talking about drop Seiya and because they use all of these examples of people dropping to their knees with attempting a Soto Makikomi attempt. And one particular, or I think it was more like two particular examples, they drop and it makes the other person step forward and bend over. So there's clearly off balancing. So it doesn't technically qualify as a false attack, but they're like, oh, you can see that this person clearly was losing in the grips and was getting dominated and they were in a bad situation. So they just like faked the Soto Makikomi attack and and someone was like, yeah, but that's not a shido. And because of what I said.
Yeah.
And then, so he stops and he's like, okay, so what happens if she does this again 2 times, 3 times, 4 times? Do you give shido? You're saying it's not a false attack. So does that mean you give a false attack to the other person? Because this is a real attack then. And then the other person's not attacking them because the other person was doing an attack. And I'm just like, this is basically what happens in drop silly is one person gets really bad grips and spams it to the point where all you need to do is make the other person bend over or step forward a little bit, and it qualifies as an attack, even though there was like a 1% chance of it actually working in the first place. And then if you have the stamina to keep spamming that attack, you're basically robbing the other guy's opportunity of attacking and make them look passive. And I'm not going to name who. We all know by now if you listen to the podcast, but there's one athlete that
Anthony's favorite player out there
literally does this all the time to make the other person look passive and shido them out because they literally can't. Like, it's like dominate the grip, and before I can even attack, you drop to your knees and then you turtle. Like, what am I supposed to do? So, yeah, so that's something that I thought was interesting. And then let's see. Yeah, so they say a failed false attack is okay if you immediately get back up and keep fighting. So if you do a drop throw of some sort, and then you immediately, like, if you slipped, let's say your grip slipped, so it's a false attack. Yeah. But if you immediately get back up and regrip and keep fighting, they're gonna let it go. Is what they said. So a lot of people that cry about false attacks sometimes, the type of people who cry about this rule is usually very nationalistic people, let's just say. I'm not going to name which fans, but you see it on YouTube all the time. They're like, false attack, that's false attack. He dropped for a second there. It's false attack. Like, you got to look at whether they get back up and re-engage and whether, like, yeah.
Or so, if they stall out, fall to the ground, don't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so the main referee talked about this briefly, says they have to be strict for consistency for optics. But they need to be more flexible so they don't end finals matches in Shidos, is what they said, which is really freaking weird.
We all know it's like an unsung rule. We all know that if it's in the finals, Shidos go out the window.
So here they actually said it.
Know that.
They actually said it.
We all know
they
that.
Said, they're like, oh, if someone never watched judo before and they started watching judo and the rules are like, why did you call for this person when the other person did the same thing and they didn't get the penalty? They're going to be freaking confused. And for me, it's not confused. For me, it's like pissed off and I refuse to watch it now. Yeah. But so he said that they have to be strict and consistent so that for the optics, it looks like it's fair. And then in the same breath, like literally 30 seconds later, they're like, yeah, we also had to be more flexible. So there's action and there also, we don't end the final in like Shidos. Like, yeah, I'm just like, how do you, it'll be one thing they said it like an hour later into the seminar, but within the same like minute, they said two things. So it's very hypocritical, I thought. Yeah, so right after that, they showed a clip of a guy who already has 2 Shidos on the board, and he does a false attack. Well, you can tell he didn't do it on purpose. Like it's just so exhausted and the grip slipped, so it came out as like a false attack, and he doesn't get up right away. So they're like, okay, the score's tied. They're tired, and then they gave him a false attack and ended the match. So it went against what they said about being subjective and not finish the score. Yeah, it was just really weird how everything lined up within this like 3-4 minute block where they talk about all these things and showed an example that all contradict each other. It was it's like they have no self-awareness at all.
It's like, no, they do and they don't give a about it. All right. Yeah. They don't care.
Yep.
And we all know that when it's 2 big players going at it, they're not going to be calling Shidos on people. And especially if it goes in golden score, they're like, no, if it goes in golden score, Shidos go out, not at the window. They go out the state. They go out the country. All right. Because we want to see something. We want to see a Wazadi or Ippon.
Yeah. The last thing I have here. Last two things. So they mentioned this in the IJF Refreee Seminar already, but they basically say like osaikomi, there's certain osaikomi calls that they're going to review after the Olympics again, because osaikomi, you're supposed to be on top of the person. But there's like certain styles of kesakatame and certain styles of yokosankaku where you're technically not on top of the uke, you're on next to them, or in some cases even underneath them. So they're going to review the gray area of what is considered a pin or not, basically. So that's, I guess, like, part of me is like, good, because sometimes I see this, I'm like, that's not a pin. Why is it being called a pin? Rarely happens. It's not a huge problem, but at least they're going to address it. But the other half that I'm worried how they're going to try and fix this gray area, and then they're going to add new rules that just make it worse. So,
and more
as we all know,
confuse people. It's like the other day when you and me were working on the Huizinga roll. Yeah. And I was like, okay, do you feel this is strong right here? Am I holding you here? All right. I'm really close to the side of you right here. Do you think this be, and you and me are discussing it. And then Philippe came over and he was like, oh no, okay, right here. Okay. That's good. You know? Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and also they use an example where, they awarded ippon to this person, for pinning someone. And the bottom person already got out of the pin already, but because the referee was in the wrong position, they couldn't see it. So that was a mess up on their part. And they're saying referees need to make sure they move more to get into the right position to see.
I've been saying that for years.
Good luck with that, right? So
you get some of these, like, I don't know what it is, these IJF refs, they have like a 3-foot area that they like to move around in, and that's it. But here's the thing though. I get that because they don't want to block the cameras. They don't want to give away the audience. I kind of get that. Okay. But in MMA and other sports, refs move around all the time. These side refs need to say something then.
Yeah.
We have the side refs.
The people on the camera need to say something.
Yeah. We have the video refs. If they see that he's out, they need right in the ear thing. He's out. Yamate. Or if they say, oh, it was a 1 second, 2 second, and they say Wazadi was at the corner.
Whatever. And I think,
did I get the monitor? You got to hear that ear. Stop, mate. Monitor time.
And I think, during stand-up action, they need to stay away, right? To not interfere. Yeah. And judo refs are pretty good at that, not interfering. I don't think I've ever had an encounter where the ref like blocked me or I threw someone to a ref. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen. But once they hit the ground, I think they really need to run up and do what wrestling does, basically. Get to the ground and see the action. The wrestling do it to see if there's like back contact for a second. So that's why they're in a rush. But they need to do that here too. I don't know. I don't think, other than the aesthetics of it being a gentleman's sport, other than that, there's no reason why they can't run up to the action and look down.
Well, one of my big pet peeves is when someone has somebody in a good choke, like there's a collar choke or RNC or whatever the sankaku, where the choke is, and the ref's like pretty much almost like behind them, watching from behind, just standing there watching, looking like, okay, are they gonna tap yet? Oh, they're not turning over, whatever. And the person's out, they're like asleep already, and the ref's just like, what's going on? And they'll let them go. Like if someone's nice, they'll let them go. Their person will flop on the floor and they'll be like, get up. Like, I'm sorry, he's out. He or she is out right now. It is my ippon.
Yeah, I mean, there's going back to, since you mentioned the collar choke thing, lately I've been seeing a lot of matches where people are literally have the collar over the lapel over the chin or the mouth even, and it's not even like hit. You know how we say like you can get away with it if someone's turtling and they're facing the ground and the ref can't see it. But I've been seeing a lot of ones where they're facing up. And then they're looking at the ref, both of them. And then the girl's like pointing at, it's like, hey, look. And the ref would just look at him and be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. and then because
I want to see where this goes. Hold on.
So that gray area thing comes back in, right? So they'll give him like 3 or 4. I think honestly, it's closer to like 5 seconds. They give him like 5 seconds, which doesn't sound long, but on the ground, it's like freaking eternity, right? They gave him like 5 seconds, and then if it slips under within that 5 seconds, they just let it go.
Yeah.
So that's the gray area part where I'm not a huge fan of. And in some cases, because the girl's pointing, she's not defending with this arm. They use it for an arm lock.
Yeah. So, look, oh no. See, here's my thing as a ref when I ref stuff. If I see something like that and I've been told I give too much time on the ground, I've been told I give not enough time on the ground. It depends. If I see sits over someone's throat or sits over his chin or face and they're working to try to get it, if they're moving and trying to work it, I'll let it go. But if they're just yanking on the gi across the face, creating a face crusher or something, I'm like, mate, I'll stop it. Because they're not trying to get around. Yeah. They're just trying to crush their throat. And as that old Gracie saying, break the jaw to get to the throat. We don't have that in judo. We're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah. And I mean, I haven't seen it yet because of our rules about not touching the face, but I haven't seen the thing where people use the bridge of the nose and all that stuff that they do in wrestling to open up people's necks. But I already see people doing the thing on the chin, like going like this on with the thumb. Yeah. Flipping up the chin. I see that already.
Quiet you.
So they're doing this right in front of the ref and they let it happen. So I haven't seen it in a local tournament, but I've seen it at IJF tournaments. So yeah, just depressing talking about rules and enforcement all the time.
Well, it's one thing that you and me as coaches and me as a competitor still, it's good to know the rules. It's good to know what you can and cannot do, because nothing worse than going out there and seeing your own player or yourself get shooted for something that you don't know you got shooted for, or getting hansakamake for something you don't know. Yeah. And it even sucks worse when the ref doesn't know what's going on and you're trying to tell them like, hey, this is happening. This is wrong right now. Like we have one player that cannot stay in the middle of the mat that always shields himself going out, you know?
It's more like two, but yeah. But yeah, I think it's important to understand the rules because you just listen to refs get it wrong too. Like we already say it, they don't have to get recertified. So it's like a game of telephone. I've gotten told so many wrong things. Like I already told you, like got told about the head dive thing. Like that wasn't written in a rule anywhere. That was definitely their own interpretation. Or someone else told them that. I've gotten told that my tomoe nage didn't count as a score because I didn't roll on top of the person. Even though they landed
when you
flat
told me that one, I was like, these damn Texas refs. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I said the wrong place. I mean,
so I've gotten told that many times. I've seen it happen to other people. I've gotten told I can't break the grip now. Like there was a new grip rules. I've telling people giving me Shidos based off the old grip rules. So yeah, it's good to get the information from the source. And even though the source, there's a lot, the way that they word certain things in official rules leaves a lot of gray area for the refs to play around with. You should still understand it yourself, like which ones are gray areas and which ones there's no gray areas. So I'm really curious how many coaches actually read the rules, or how many of them just like take their words of the local referee for what it is. Like, there's not a lot of people out there like you and me that just go out there, watch these videos. Like I said, there's 6 hour or more longer videos. I know it takes a lot of time to watch this stuff. And like, even then, these videos don't clarify a lot of stuff that we talk about, like neck cranks. They don't clarify neck cranks. They should. Someone was arguing about it on Reddit the other day. They should argue. I was arguing with someone that we know that's a referee about guillotines, like whether it's legal or not. And then I was like, technically it is legal if you do it. And he was like, no, they're all illegal. I'm like, and then I was like, yeah, but, and there's no but, they're all illegal. I'm a referee. I know everything. Like, so like, what year did you get your certification? I know. Well, it's funny because they even showed in the European video how guillotines are legal. They showed legal, like, this is a legal guillotine. This is not a legal guillotine. Yeah. This is okay. Yep. But the European video also leaves a lot of gray area because it's like, okay, you're saying with the arm in the guillotine, which is technically not really the guillotine anymore. It's more like a katajime, kata sankakujime, more like an arm triangle, right? At that point, just the other direction. But they don't say whether if the arm's out, whether it's legal or not, because they say as long as you don't crank the neck. Yeah. So like, which one is it? Yeah. There was sometimes what I was going to say, it's just this joke that I think I told you this before, is that the only way we'll have full clarification is when we start having robot refs. Because as long as there's humans doing it, there's going to be human error. Yeah. One other very controversial topic that got clarified, semi-clarified recently was I've been telling people that the leg grab rule, if your primary grip is on the gi and not the legs. So for example, if I grab the, let's say you're one very clear example. I'm trying to think of a very clear example. If your gi falls out of the belt, like we talked about, like it comes out. If I grab the bottom of your gi, the skirt, and then I do a kochi makikomi, maintaining that grip, and then my elbow touches your leg, then that is legal. It's not a leg grab because my primary grip is your skirt. But if I let go of the skirt and I do the same thing, then it's illegal. Doesn't matter how much, whether the elbow helped the throw or not. It's illegal because there's no primary grip. But up until like this last year, I was like arguing with a bunch of referees about this that we know, because they're like, no, any doesn't matter what the you just can't touch the legs. That's what they said. And that's why I heard myself too. That's
how it was. I want to say 8 years ago, that was the original interpretation of the rule. Like I want to say 8 years, maybe further back then, that the original interpretation was that you cannot touch this leg at all. And then it was recently, I want to say within the last 4 years, last Olympic cycle,
it was like 5 years.
Yeah. That they're like, okay, well, if you go for kochi makikomi and you're holding the arm, you're holding the body, but your elbow hits the leg and stuff, it's okay.
So this is not written in the rules. That's that going back to what I said about the IJF dropping the ball a little bit. I heard this from Sensei Gary Takamoto, who was an IJF ref before, retired IJF ref. So he told me this, and then I like looked up some French freaking video. And then I emailed, I think I sent an email to someone, I can't remember who, it was a while ago. And then they're like, yes, confirmed. Okay, that's correct. That's when I started telling people, and then they were arguing with me. And then I think it was last year or 2 years ago that they added onto the slide, finally, with examples. This is okay, this isn't okay, this is okay, this isn't okay. And even now, not everyone saw that slide, and I have to send them that slide to say like, okay, here's the example. So...
Well, it's like that new, I don't know what the name of the throw is. Like we played around at the dojo where I do that. I grab into the arm and then I grab the body and I do that rolling throw.
Yoko Wakare.
Yeah, we Yoko Wakare. Have you been messing around with that since a lot of people are messing around with that lately? Technically, my head is blocking the way it's done stuff. My head is blocking the leg technically. Would that be a head? Would that be a head grab? Wouldn't that be grabbing a leg technically? Because I'm using my head as a block to block his leg to flip him over.
I guess that's not against rules, but yeah, it's just rules are hard. Like people are always going to find ways around it, and you got to add more rules to like
counter those rules. Counter those rules on that, and
as long as it's safe, I think there's really no freaking reason to change rules, honestly. But
all right. So that was our discussion on these rules and some of the things that happen. And it's these refs. It's
exhausting.
It's exhausting to go through all this stuff and remember. It's like, look at us trying to remember all this stuff, you know?
But
I know there's stuff that we're forgetting, stuff that we don't think about, that you and I do know, but we'll think about it. Oh, then we're supposed to say that. I forgot that. And, you know, reffing is a thankless job. We appreciate our refs. That's one thing about judo that we don't do that I wish we did for it like BJJ does. Our refs don't get paid. I did this recently now starting to get stipends, I heard, which is great for them.
The most exhausting thing is knowing the rules, but then people just pull rank on you. Then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter how much evidence you have. I took the referee clinic, so I know I'm a referee, so I know I'm a seventh dan, so I know.
Yeah. I took the referee clinic 30 years ago, so I know what I'm talking about.
But I don't have a referee certificate. So I realized this recently. Like I know all these rules, but I can't referee. So that's why I'm gonna try and take the class just to get it, just so I can have it, and then after I take the class, I'll stop watching these videos, and someone else can call me out on
someone can tell me something. Anthony, don't you know this rule just got changed last year? Nah, don't talk to me.
I have a referee shirt now. You can't.
Nah, you see my rules. You see this patch right here? You see this? Not a certified referee. All right.
No, but like we need more referees, definitely. So,
well, it's the sad thing also is that referees tend to be older people. If we could somehow get actually, this is a NACA thing. This is Southern California thing. I don't know how it is in your state. I know how it is in your country, but our refs are either little ass kids or old ass men.
It's been getting better. It's been getting better.
Yeah, but it's just funny. We only have two divisions. We have little kids and old people. We need more in the middle there that have better eyesights and a quicker reaction time, maybe. But then I say that, like, hell, Juan, why don't you go out there and ref? I'm competing. Sorry, no, I can't do that.
No, I was thinking.
I'm coaching too. I'm coaching and competing. Can't get out there. My bad.
We need to change an incentive somehow other than rank to help
the thing
people.
Like in BJJ, like when you told me that BJJ refs get paid, I was like, what? And they make decent money reffing?
It's minimum wage.
That's decent to me. All right. It's better than when I was reffing, it was a soda, a hot dog, and some candy. All right. When I was reffing.
Well, in order to do that, they're going to have to start charging more for the tournament fees. But they could afford it. Some tournaments could afford it. It will cut into their bottom line, their profits, but can definitely do it. Yeah, you're talking about running tournaments in the future, so you could run the crunch numbers.
That's why I need you to I need you to get your ref certification. That way I can trust you on a mat.
Yeah, hey, my going rate is $200 an hour. So
doll hairs. You heard it, guys. He said 200 doll hairs. So I'll give him 200 doll hairs.
I actually get asked by people to teach judo in BJJ schools, and I also get asked by people to teach privates, and basically I have no interest in doing that. So I throw out a number, which is basically what my bill rate is for consulting in general, because that's how much time is worth to me. I'm like, well, if you really want me to teach you, then I mean, this is how much I'm going to charge. But it's mostly because I know what they're looking for, and I know I can't provide what they're looking for because I don't have any accolades or special competition experience or stuff. So I would basically be able to explain stuff to them really well.
Yeah.
And also probably teach them how to learn better. But I wouldn't be able to be like, well, if you're fighting a high level wrestler, this is what you should do. Like, I'm not the right guy for you to pay me for advice for that, basically. So but if they insist, I'm like, this is how much my time is worth. And most of the time, if I know people could use the information that I give them, I just give it to them for free and teach them for free anyway. So if I say $200 an hour, it means I don't like you. So
that hurts me. I thought we were partners. I thought we were homies. What happened?
I'm not interested in reffing $200 an hour.
Oh, yes, you are. You are going to ref, whether you like it or not. Kidnap you, put a ref shirt on you, toss you out there.
Yeah, I think so far only one person paid me for it, and he greatly regretted it.
He immediately regretted it.
He was like, "That's all?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you refuse to take falls, then yeah, this is all I have to teach you." Because he was like,
what is that?
He was expecting some self-defense, like you know, like, oh, if you grab you here, you kick them in the ball. Like he was expecting that kind of instruction, and I'm just like, it's not going to be like that. But if you really, really want me to teach you judo, then that's and you don't want to take falls, then this is what I'm going to have to teach you. So,
all right. And with that, talk about Anthony kicking people in the huevos, we're going to end this episode of Tatami Talk.
I basically got paid $200 to let this guy throw me for an hour. Basically, that's basically what happened.
So, Anthony, is there anything else you want to talk about? Bring up other than kicking guys in huevos?
No.
All right. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. You follow me at the Jerry _Juan on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You can also send us any messages, things you want to talk about, questions you have for us. Talk about Anthony's midlife crisis again.
Yeah, talk about midlife crisis.
Yeah, at tatamitalk@gmail.com. And we also have that thread on Threads, which
I actually see a lot of people using it now. I get
really?
Yeah.
I have seen a few people like our stuff, but also not enough interaction I think that matters. But hey, that's me.
Yeah.
I ain't getting into damn X. We're not doing X. All right. And TikTok. We're not doing TikTok either.
Yeah.
All right. Am I forgetting any of them?
No, if you listen this far, I know a lot. I can see who listens all the way to the end. Most people like cut off by this point. But I'm actually going to Singapore, as I've talked about. So if you have anyone has any recommendations on where to train in Singapore, please let me know and I'll drop by. So
We need to put that in the beginning of the episode.
well, I want to see who listens to this in the end. So
Okay. It's a secret game. All right. All right. And with that, don't forget to
take a referee seminar
and keep up with the rules.
And slap the mat. Or just keep up with the rules. That's better than taking a referee seminar. But yeah, take the referee seminar too.